Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Today I rise to offer my strong opposition and no vote explanation to this woefully inadequate transportation budget. A budget that does little to address our crumbling infrastructure. A budget that robs from the communities in this state that most need the funding. And note to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle from Oakland and Macomb County, when I say they're robbing from your communities, you are exactly who I'm speaking of. A budget that will not help us fix our roads. It's a budget that lacks a real road funding plan. The majority promised a road funding plan by the Mackinac Policy Conference at the end of May. Still no plan. Turns out we learned 4 months later, during the Republican Policy Conference, the plan is to let some roads literally turn to gravel. Right island, wrong plan, 4 months late, and at least $1 billion short. I've heard my colleagues talk about record funding. Let's be very clear. Record funding is just another gimmick. We had record funding in 2016, and then in 2017. Do we make progress fixing the roads? The answer is no. Record funding in 2018. Turns out the roads actually got worse. Record funding in 2019. How are the roads you're driving on today? Turns out you can't fix potholes with talking points. The only real record that is being broken today is another year where the legislature comes up and says they solved the problem, and a record year of failing to do so again. In 2015, 39% of our roads were in poor condition. Now it's 48%. Band-aids and one-time spending measures have not worked. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Record funding means nothing if you don't address the full problem. Experts have told us that without additional funding, the percentage of trunk line and local roads in poor condition will nearly double within the next 10 years and would likely include 2/3 of the state's entire roadway system by 2028. They also told us that we needed $1.2 billion in 2015. And because we did not solve the problem then, we now need $2.2 billion. Every year we fail to pay the bill, the interest just keeps adding up. It's like we took a loan from a bad loan shark. The juice has been running the entire time. And Michiganders keep paying the bills with broken axles and bent rims. And when somebody finally comes around to solving this problem, it'll cost more. And that is the ultimate hidden tax on our taxpayers. People are frustrated, and I don't blame them. They have been lied to by politicians who lack the political courage to tell people what the real problem is and what it's going to actually take to solve it. 3 years ago, after the last tax increase in this body, one member of the majority promised their constituents at a coffee hour that we would be driving on diamonds by now. So we were going to be driving on diamonds. Now the majority is promising that we'll be driving on gravel. In 3 years, we'll be driving on broken promises. It's like one of those terrible stories when you find out your 2-carat wedding ring is actually cubic zirconium. I hope the Michigan people got a prenup. Michiganders want our roads fixed. But more than that, Michiganders want a government that works for them. They don't want partisan bickering or ridiculous Twitter posts or talking points. They don't need leaders who will stand up and say what they're against over and over again, but sit down when it's time to find real solutions. We need to get back to the negotiating table with a real plan to finally fix the damn roads. And until we do that, until we put the partisan bickering aside, until we put the Twitter and the Facebook post and all that garbage aside and sit down in a room and actually solve this problem, until we sit down and actually make an agreement among all of us to work together to solve the problems for the people, that I ask you all to vote no on this budget. Thank you.